So, what if I told you that one of the most powerful guides to living a truly free and peaceful life was written down almost 2,000 years ago? And what if the person who taught it wasn't a king or some powerful emperor, but a man who was actually born a slave? Well, today, that's exactly the guide we're diving into.
You know that feeling? Being constantly bombarded with news, notifications, and demands that just leave you feeling, well, powerless. If that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. And that feeling is precisely what this ancient guide was designed to fix. A lot of the time, it feels like we're playing this unwinnable game, right? The rules are always changing, the goalposts are always moving. We're chasing after things, a better job, more money, likes on social media, only to find out that getting them doesn't actually bring us the peace we thought it would. But what if the problem isn't the game? What if it's the way we're thinking about it? Okay, stop right here. This single sentence is the absolute core of this whole philosophy. Think about it. A traffic jam isn't inherently bad. A mean comment online isn't inherently devastating. Epictetus argues that these events, are totally neutral. It's our judgment, our view of them, that causes all the anger, the hurt, and the anxiety. This one idea, it's the key that unlocks everything else. So, who was the genius who figured this all out? Well, the answer is one of the greatest ironies in all of history. The man who became this incredible teacher of freedom started his own life in chains. Meet Epictetus. He was born a slave in the Roman Empire, and his life was, by any definition, brutal. But here's what's amazing. Even while he was enslaved, he found a way to study philosophy. He was eventually granted his freedom, but his struggles weren't over. He was later kicked out of Rome during an exile of philosophers. Despite all that, he went on to start a legendary philosophy school. And get this, he never wrote a single word down himself. Everything we have from him is thanks to the meticulous notes taken by his student, Arrian. And those notes were put together into this little book, the Enchiridion. The name literally means the manual or the handbook. You should think of it less like some dense textbook and more like a field guide. It's this short, sharp, no-nonsense set of rules for applying Stoicism to the absolute chaos of everyday life. So what's the big secret in this little manual? Well, it all boils down to one single foundational skill, learning to draw a crystal clear line between what you can control and what you absolutely cannot. That's it. According to Epictetus, that is the beginning, the middle, and the end of the entire practice. All right, let's really look at this, because the power here is just how simple and, well, brutal it is. Look at the column on the left. Your opinions, your goals, your desires. These things are inside your head. They are your inner world, and they're the only things truly in your power. Now look at the right. Your body, your property, your reputation, what other people do. Epictetus says all of this is external. It's outside your direct command. Yeah, you can influence these things, but you don't ultimately control them. Getting this distinction is everything. And this quote just nails the payoff, doesn't it? If you focus all your energy exclusively on what's in your domain, your thoughts, your actions, you become untouchable. No one can force you to think something you don't want to. No one can hijack your will. That is where real freedom comes from. Okay, so this sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do this? Well, Epictetus gives us these amazing mental models, these metaphors to help us completely reframe how we see the world. Let's dig into 3 of the most famous ones. First up, think of your life as a play. You don't get to choose your part, right? Whether you're born rich or poor, tall or short, you don't write the script, you don't design the set. All that stuff is completely outside your control. Your only job, is to take the role you've been given and play it to the absolute best of your ability, with integrity and excellence. So stop complaining about the part and just focus on your performance. The second model is to see life as a banquet. Imagine you're at a dinner party. Opportunities, relationships, possessions, they're all being passed around the table. The Stoic advice is simple. When a dish comes to you, take a polite, moderate share. Don't lunge across the table desperate for something that hasn't even reached you yet. This is just such a powerful way to think about managing desire. It teaches us patience, right? It teaches us to accept what life offers with grace, instead of having this desperate, gnawing craving for things we don't have.
Now, this one is probably the most challenging, but also the most profound. When you lose something or someone, Epictetus tells us to make a radical shift in how we talk and think about it. Don't ever say you've lost it. Instead, you see yourself as a temporary steward. The universe or God or nature, whatever you want to call it, lent you these things, your possessions, your career, your loved ones. And when they're gone, they haven't been lost. They have simply been returned to their source. This reframes grief not as a theft, but as the end of a beautiful, cherished loan. Now, this little handbook wasn't just some dusty old text that got forgotten. Oh no, its ideas were so powerful that they've been echoing through the centuries, and they have profoundly shaped the world we live in today.
I mean, just look at this journey. These ideas guided Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, as he was running the most powerful empire on earth. See, back then, a lot of philosophies were about seeking pleasure or just withdrawing from the world. But Stoicism was a practical code for living an active, engaged life. Then, after being mostly forgotten, it was rediscovered during the Renaissance. It heavily influenced Enlightenment thinkers like Adam Smith and Immanuel Kant. And here's the real kicker. Today, its central idea, that our thoughts, not outside events, create our feelings, is the absolute bedrock of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, one of the most effective tools in modern psychology.
When you boil it all down, the groundbreaking contribution of Epictetus and the Stoics was this. In a world full of mystery cults and ideas about inescapable fate, they offered a path to salvation through your own individual reason. They taught that anyone, from a slave to an emperor, could find peace and freedom just by mastering their own mind. You didn't need a miracle. You just needed to think clearly.
So I'll leave you with this question, straight from the heart of the Enchiridion. Take a look at your life, at your anxieties. What is one thing you're worrying about that is fundamentally completely outside of your control that you can just decide to let go of right now?
This is for entertainment and educational purposes only.